For the last 30 years, the Salisbury Hospice, located at the city's district hospital, has been offering palliative care, rehabilitation and support for those with life-limiting illnesses. They've now begun a project which looks to get more volunteers on board to help enrich patients' lives.
What we're looking to do is to link a volunteer with a patient who can be with them, to read the paper with them, do a crossword, take their dog for a walk, be able to do a little bit of shopping, be able to mow the lawn. There is nothing worse than being faced with a life-limiting illness when perhaps you have a beautiful garden and all you can see is it looking unloved. But to have somebody who can perhaps work with you in the garden or mow your lawn or cut your hedge is something that allows that person to remain comfortable but be in their home when they're reaching the end of their life.
A community companion would be asked to spend around 2 hours a week with a patient who the hospice say will be chosen based on interests in the same hobbies. Sarah recalls one patient who's no longer with them that could have benefited from the scheme.
Their passion was their garden. There were many times that we visited this person in their own home and found them really struggling to do very small garden tasks because that was what was important to them. And actually somebody that could have helped them plant pots and just create a little garden that reminded them and helped them with what they had been able to do, but also be able to create something to do whilst they were at home is so important.
The hospice say that over the last decade, the number of patients using their care has risen, triggered by older generations living longer and also living with more complex problems, needing additional support. The hospice are hoping the community companions can help to increase a patient's quality of life, both physically and mentally.
I think the ethos of volunteering is huge, and we're always thinking and trying to think out the box of things that our patients would really benefit from that isn't something perhaps that an NHS paid member of staff would be able to do, but actually there are lots of people out in the community who have time on their hands, who have lots of skills, lots of knowledge, are full of compassion and would only be too pleased to come into a hospice and help us here.
Community companions would not have any involvement in the clinical side of caring, but be a friend for a patient who the hospice say can often feel isolated and nervous about getting out and about. As well as helping a patient, Sarah says volunteering can also benefit the volunteer.
The other important thing for us to remember is that actually we do have a lot of volunteers and they are faced with patients here and families who are losing somebody or who've lost somebody. So we also offer support for our volunteers in managing that, because it as well as being a really, really lovely place to work, and it is essentially a really happy place, it can also be very sad, and we need to support volunteers through those times as well.
Kara Digby, That's TV.